Nick.
Hey.
We got a little rain last night.
We did.
I had to drive to Boston in a torrential downpour. Did you get much here?
We got some heavy rain for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so it was nice to have it.
Has that relieved things at all?
Maybe probably takes the immediate stress off the plant, because every plant gets a drink, but it doesn't change the fact that we're still now classified as being in severe drought.
Severe drought.
Severe drought now in Rockingham County. Our county, and but almost all of our county, it's centered here.
I know I got a thing from the select board this week, or I saw it on the Facebook page there, that they don't want people watering their lawn, and you can water your vegetable garden between 7 p.m. and 8 a.m.
Right. We have to think about water. Water is very important. Without having our water for our commercial farm, we use the water very conservatively, as I've showed you several times, using the drip tubes.
Yep.
So we use very little amount of water per acre. But without running that, none of this crops are possible.
Right.
You can't grow vegetables without water.
So what are the possible crops we're going to see today?
Let's take a look at some progress of the Brussel sprouts, because we were talking about how to prune Brussel sprouts, and I want to show you some top pruning on tomato plants. Something people neglect is that about this time of year, it's the third week in August, you want to top prune your tomatoes. So we'll look at that and why we would do that.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right. We're in field 1, and we're taking a look at our lettuce plants. We've gotten through a really hot stretch, too many 90-degree days to count. I mean, a dozen or so since the spring lettuce plants. But these are ready to go. We've got these through the heat. We've kept them irrigated. These are plugs that we planted out, and these grew outside in the heat, and they're big. They grew rapidly. It's a heat-tolerant variety, however. They're called Summer Crisp, the line from Johnny Seeds in Maine, and they're bred to tolerate heat. So that's why we grew these particular varieties. We will harvest these starting this week. We do the cut and come again. We take leaves off the outside, leave the center growing tip, irrigate them well, weed them well, and they'll grow right back to the next size. It becomes a leaf factory. And we'll start harvesting lettuce off of this big bed, and there are some big ones underneath below. I want to show you here these plants, because we want to have lettuce. It's week 12 coming. We have 20 weeks. We want to try to have lettuce each week the rest of the way through. So these we're growing underneath this reflective cover I showed you before. Keeps the radiation of the sun off the plants. The plants that stayed small and not as far along in their life cycle as these plants are out here, all pretty much the whole way through. It's kept they have not had the same stress these plants have. They're small. We'll harvest off these, and then we'll start harvesting off of these in future weeks. So this is all about helping keep the harvest staggered so that we can have a long harvest period. So the lettuce is looking very good. And the mulching, one quick thing here I wanted to show you, this mulching is very important when you don't have a lot of water and when you're irrigating, is you want to cover the ground and keep the moisture in. So we've got cardboard between the rows here and wood chips on top of it. That way when you water, this is when the water gets ground, and when you do get some rain in the ground, this will help keep it in. So it's good to keep the ground covered like this. Here's that bed we tore out last week and immediately reseeded. It's August 24, so we're running out of growing days. So we immediately reseeded with something that will grow quickly, and it's radishes. So we get a triple row of radishes with drip irrigation tape, 2 blocks, the front, like the cherry type radishes, and in the back are the longer, thinner, spicier Japanese chunkier radishes. They're 7 days old. This is in 7 days. It was hot, so we ran this irrigation non-stop pretty much on this bed to keep it wet. And it worked. And you add heat and water, and the seeds will germinate, especially something like radishes. So now another 3 weeks we'll be eating those radishes.
Cool.
Yeah.
And anything happening over here? Is that just...
Yeah, here too. We pulled this. We actually grew onions in these beds. Remember, we were keeping track of them. They're all still inside, curing.
Yep.
We'll start passing those out very soon. But you can see some little babies in the holes here. We did the same thing as we pulled the plants out. We want to reuse when we have fast growing crops, it's August 24. I like to give you vegetables in October. So we put arugula seed in the holes here.
I see.
Yeah, so again, I keep it irrigated, and now this will be a nice hedge of arugula. We'll come in and here, cut that off and give you a harvest of nice soft young leaves in the end of September. And then we did the same thing with the rest of these rows. We've seeded them out with rapidly growing greens. We even took a shot at putting some beets in here. See if the beets will size up. If not, we'll at least have the beet greens, the tops. So this is about, like I talk about, the sequential planting so that we can have a long growing season and we don't run out of product as the season goes on. Sequential planting and then continuous planting and timing your planting properly. We can have plenty of stuff each week for 20 weeks. Let's kick an update here on these Brussels sprouts. This is one of the crops we've been keeping an eye on, watching its progress through the season. We took the head off the plant. That's excellent. It removes the apical dominance, and now these side heads all of a sudden have an opportunity to grow. So we did that. We cut the head off. Now we see all these little mini cabbages, the Brussels sprouts, and we also at the same time have been removing lower leaves. We start at the bottom and we slowly work our way up, and we keep taking leaves off the bottom. That sort of shocks the plant into like an end of season feeling, and where it wants to now finish off its product too and make those heads and size up those heads. So the combination of removing those lower leaves and cutting the head off, you will get better size sprouts. They'll sprout out quicker. Also, added advantage, removing those lower leaves, that's usually where the worms are. When the cabbage moth, she's flipping through here all the time, she lays her eggs often on those lower leaves. So you're removing the worms also without a spray. And also you now get ear movement through the bottom of the bed, so you don't get that nasty black fungus you can get on the Brussels sprouts also. So it's also a fungal prevention and insect prevention also, in addition to nurturing the crop. So that's something, this is here, here's a beauty one here, this one too. Here's something you always want to do to your Brussels sprouts. And you end up here with this nice column of the sprouts themselves with this nice array of solar panels around the top that's still collecting the sun for you. Good air movement through the bottom. You've thrown away the worms. All right, let's take a look at our tomato plant progress here. We're pulling a lot of fruit out of here. They love it in the high tunnel. This is the basket weave system. Metal posts, 2 plants between each post, and then they're held up by this twine. You go through and you weave it between the plants as the plants grow, and you end up with this really nice column. What happens, the plants sometimes grow so vigorously, they'll get to the top and they'll get too big. They've already topped it off, and they'll get so high that they'll start to grow some flowers and some fruits up here that will never really have enough chance to grow, to be a mature fruit. Here's one I'll demonstrate it for you. See, this one fell over, so I can pick this one back up and show how big these plants actually were in here. These flowers up here, because this is the way, as you probably know, tomatoes flower. They come up, they set a cluster. They grow some more, they set another cluster. They grow some more, they set another cluster. They grow some more, new one, new cluster. That's what they do. These early ones we've already pulled off, we have 2 or 3 clusters worth. We've got a few in between here. There's not enough time. It's August 24th. It's not enough time in the growing season for this to become a fruit. So what this plant's doing, I was putting a lot of energy into making these flowers and trying to make small fruit. That will never come to be. So that's a waste of energy, because we'd much rather have these larger fruit finish off. We've got fruit down here. See this fruit in here? There's a lot of fruit in there. The 3rd cluster, the 4th cluster, even up this high, the 4th cluster up here, 4th cluster fruit. These can still mature. There's enough time left, because it's really day length control. If we don't waste a lot of energy futilely by growing pots that are never going to become. So what we do is we take it off, and I'll come in here and I want to remove the flowering, but I want to leave this leaf, but I want to dead end this tree, this vine. So I'm going to cut that off. Now there's no more fruiting. So I'm going to leave this on like as a solar panel, these last ones, to finish maybe that fruit right there at the top, and that top was top of that plant now. Those are cherry tomatoes. They're a special kind of a trellis. I want to show that to you.
Let's see.
Yeah. But these are all cut up really nicely. All the small fruit and flowers are gone, and they've left big leaves at the top as a solar panel. And it did all the way down here. Well, they did a great job. These look really good. See these clusters of fruit in here, Wes? these now have a chance to finishing because the plant's not wasting its energy making more flowers up in here and stuff up in here. Now it can concentrate its energy on finishing those fruit. This, meanwhile, is the Super Sweet 100 cherry tomato trellis. It's 8 feet tall, maybe 7 feet tall. They topped off. Then they get so big too, they've topped off, we can no longer get up there and basket weave them. They'll fall over. So what we do is we put these ropes up and we let them fall over and catch the rope. You see that? Yeah, so you end up with this. See, they're coming over the top. They'll come over and then they continue to grow their fruit up here. So later on this season, first of all, there's this wall of fruit. If you can get a shot through here, there's about to be an avalanche of cherry tomatoes. They come in slow. It starts slowly. Now it's about to explode. We'll come through here tomorrow morning and take all this fruit off. That stimulates the other ones to grow. But these plants will come up now, go over the top, and then later on we'll be picking fruit up through here like this. Pulling fruit as they're dangling down. It's pretty cool. The other side also, it comes over as a T-shaped trellis. But it's just a ton of fruit. This is another fruit making machine right here.
Cool.
Here's our winter squash. Here's one of our grand finale plants. We put them in this new field down here, and I got the rows too close together. It'd be nice to give them more space. They're actually 8 feet apart on center. Usually that's enough, but they came in pretty strong. So next time 10 feet at least on center. But hopefully we'll get them to crop because they are looking like they're very close to us. See, here's one right here. There's a lot of these through the bed. Here's a little edge effect one. Oftentimes you get a big one on the edge of the bed, and here's no exception. But there's a lot of them about this size over here. Lots and lots of them through here. The plants look strong. I don't see a lot of disease through here. I see some yellowing down in there. Might want to check out later on. So yeah, these are spaghetti squash, and then we have another one with squash here. These are acorns, I believe we have in here. Acorn squash. Again, the plants are big and vigorous. That's just acorn squash right there. That green one. Yeah. So there'll be a lot of that's a big producer. Should we get lots and lots of those? We should get out of here also. And then on this side we have the red curry. Red curry squash, and we got one on that side. I'll go around. This is a very big plant. This plant is throwing up a lot of vines. It's like a Hubbard type. Look at that. You see it in there? That's a gourmet squash right in there for you. It'll get darker as it continues to mature. But there's a lot of these fruit in here, and the plants are strong. They're actually on a black plastic bed, but I let them run off the bed onto the dirt because then they will put roots down into the dirt also. So you get the benefit of both. But see, this is actually stuck to the ground. Yep. It makes little roots so it can take more water. It has more water and nutrient access way out here. But I like the black plastic at the beginning too, and it keeps all the weeds away from the actual plant, the center of the plant. So it's the combination, black plastic bed, and then let them run onto the dirt. Look at them run. Look at them run.
Things are looking good, even despite the lack of rain.
We're in a severe drought, but you can lessen the effects of that, of course, with irrigation. And we have a nice commercial pump and well, and we use drip irrigation, and we can use conservative use of water. So yeah, the crops still come along very nicely. The harvests have been exceeding expectations so far. So if you keep getting enough water on them, you can get your crop in.
So you're going to tell us about your dogs.
Oh, you want to talk about the dogs?
Yeah. Tell me about, I love dogs.
Okay, I'll tell you about my dogs. These are farm dogs. That's the thing, a farm dog. Farm dog means they get to be outside all the time. It also means they have to be responsible enough to stay in their yard and know their boundaries. And they have to have a job on the farm. All dogs have a job.
Do you have a fire? Come here. Do you have a fire truck?
Come here. That's a very cute remark. Right. What could this dog's job be? Because she's a Dalmatian, so you think maybe we have a fire engine. But the reason the Dalmatians were on the fire truck is because they're such good animals with horses. It's an equestrian dog. Because they used to be pulled by horses, right? For most of the time. So this is actually an equestrian dog. So when Carol goes riding, this dog gets all excited to go along on the trail rides out in the woods. She knows when it's coming, and she's really good, stays away from the horse, and just loves it, just like all our Dalmatians have. So that's Hoshi's job, is she's the equestrian dog.
Cool. So the whole fire truck thing is left over from when fire trucks were pulled by horses.
Yes, yeah.
Who knew?
The other factor, oh, you stay here. The other factor was that they're good ratters.
Oh.
They're good ratters too, and there were rats in the fire in those rooms with the horses. Because they had horses and such, there were rats. So the Dalmatians would also, they like the horses, and they would also kill your rats for you. So that's why they have their story as the fire engine dog. But speaking of ratters.
Speaking of ratters, yeah.
Yeah, this dog was designed to get rats. This girl right here. Let's take this coat off of her so we can see her. She wears this, of course, because she's danger dog, and she could just be anywhere, anytime, and we want to be able to keep track of her. But this is Kara, and she's 5 years old, and she is an Old Dominion Terrier, also known as a Decker Terrier. And she was bred to hunt rodents. Not hunting dog like that you'd go hunting with a rifle. She's a hunting dog, and that she makes the kills herself, and she'll take any rodent that she sees. She will eliminate. She's really good at it. Last year we had a big problem with groundhogs at the start of the season, and groundhogs ate hundreds of our Brussel sprout plants and cabbage plants. They really like the cabbage plants. And but Akira took them out one at a time, never a scratch on her, and there were 8 of them by the time the season was over that she had eliminated. 8 groundhogs, and saved the farm yet again. Because one can be so destructive on a farm. You can imagine a farm of ours with 8 of them. But she picked them off one at a time, very methodically. So we got her from Ohio. She was a special order dog. She came from a special breeder out there, the best breeder for Decker Terriers, Briar Bay Old Dominion Terriers. But she's very, very friendly with people, as you know.
I do.
When we first got her, Kira, come here. When we first got her, I was concerned if she would be friendly with folks, because she's such a terror out in the fields with her owners. But she's actually a big baby lap dog, and she loves people and the workers and guests who come over. She's really, really a sweet girl, and she just has a job to do when she does it.
Yeah. I've seen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at her.
So, I got a message from my wife for you, and that is that those were the most incredible tomatoes she's ever eaten.
Yeah, good.
And she has a question. How come the tomatoes we're eating here have basically no connection with what they call tomatoes that we get in the store,
That's
even
well
in even sometimes on farm stands locally?
Yeah. It's because the varieties that you get in the store have to be shipped there. They have to be picked and rough handled. They have to be loaded into a box in the field. They got to get to the truck, get off the truck, get into another truck, get to the store, be unpacked at the store, right? There's a lot of handling. So the number one thing is, if the tomato cracks, it's garbage, and it smells and it's terrible and it's worthless. So the number one goal for them is to get the tomato on the shelf. So that means that it's not, the number one goal is not softness, flavorfulness, a thin skin. All that has been brought out of the tomato because they're really breeding for really uniformity. All the tomatoes need to look the same, and they all need to have a nice, perfect shape, and they need to have a thick skin so they don't crack.
Cool. Well, see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Wes. Thank you.
Bye.